The defiled fishing hamlet at the end of the Hunter's Nightmare is a place of both answers and secrets. Here we learn of the tragedy of Kos, the crimes of Byrgenwerth, and the origins of the Healing Church. The monstrous inhabitants attack on sight, no surprise considering the torture they suffered at the hands of the Byrgenwerth scholars. The accursed brew description states, skull of a local from the violated fishing village. The inside of the skull was forcibly searched for eyes, as evidenced by the innumerable scratches and indentations. No wonder the skull became stewed in curses. By the time we arrive in the fishing hamlet, the villagers are a twisted, miserable people, restlessly praying for the damnation of Byrgenwerth and their descendants. The old blood is the source of the scourge, but it's never explained how and why the scourge causes men to devolve into mindless beasts. If we read the description of the defiled chalice, we learn that curses are caused by inciting the anger of the Great Ones, and used to hex others. Special materials are required to complete the ritual. To try one's hands at curses, first seek the Bastard of Loran. So in order to create a curse, one must use the Bastard of Loran. If we read its description, it tells us that it's the remains of a Loran infant infected by the scourge, a harbinger of curses, and the symbol of defilement. Does this mean that curses can be created using any child with scourge-tainted blood? I'm not sure. However, we do have the orphan. The orphan likely died at the hands of Byrgenwerth, but its spirit, like Murgo's, survived and is the progenitor of the Hunter's Nightmare. The curse was created by the inhabitants of the fishing hamlet in a ritual similar to the creation of a cursed or defiled chalice dungeon, using, I believe, the remains of the orphan's body. The villagers themselves mutter incoherently behind the walls of their dilapidated hovels. Thanks to good folks who've cracked the game files, we now know the actual words. Do you hear it? A sealess void, the lair of beasts, the blood-mad Rome. The sealess void, the lair of beasts, is Yharnam. The Great Ones, and by extension the Dreamlands, have been linked with the ocean, as we learn from the brain fluid description. And I believe that the Dreamlands are akin to a cosmic ocean, where the Great Ones and their kin float and dream on transcendental planes. But that's a topic for another video. So with Yharnam existing in the real world, it is, in effect, sealess. And of course, humans turned into beasts live in the Yharnam, so the description fits. Scales are suffering, the grief of Kos. This could be a reference to the disease that killed Kos. As I said in my Scourge of the Beast video, Kos was killed by an infection induced during pregnancy, and the reference to scales suggests it could be one of these two things. Dropsy is a condition that occurs in fish, caused by a bacterial infection in the kidneys. Two common symptoms of dropsy are protruding scales and bloating of the stomach. Ichthyosis, meanwhile, is a human skin disease which is often hereditary. Sufferers find that their skin grows and sheds itself at an abnormal rate, causing it to appear dry, rough and scaly. But while ichthyosis is painful, it's not fatal. The terrible reckoning of the scourge is carried by successive generations, piling misery upon misery. But even the curse has an end, for every tragic life leads to the peace of death. But for the residents of the fishing hamlet, trapped in the nightmare of their home, the curse will swirl and churn without end. And they, condemned to lament the loss of their god and the defilement of their souls, will forever chant and forever mourn.